Hi, everybody. I'm Cali Chill, head of OurCrowd's Fund Investments Group and the company's chief legal officer. I'm joining you for a live discussion of Israel's food tech ecosystem. Those three words, Israel, food tech, and frontline, take on perhaps a stronger, more pronounced and timely meaning during these trying months in our home country. We have a lot going on as a nation on various front lines. It's typical that at times of war, food security is one of the first issues that comes to mind. We all recall how several weeks into the Russia-Ukraine war, disruption of supply chains and the threat to global food and energy security with sudden price hikes triggered by the concerning events all highlighted the urgency of accelerating new innovations to solve these food-related problems. Fast forward to the aftermath of October 7th. One of the implications being dealt with in Israel these days is the impact of the war on the Israeli agriculture sector, with numerous farmers in the south and on the northern border facing increasing challenges. A key example is a significant reserve force that's called up to defend the country, or folks simply unable to come and tend to the crops and fields due to disrupted school systems, all resulting in a scarcity of workers. It's not difficult to imagine the need to find new, efficient ways to grow fruits and vegetables in secure zones with high speed and efficiency and with less dependency on manpower. In addition, handling the climate impact of how we produce the food and the world population needs in order to survive has become crucial. This is where technology comes in. And when you combine these two areas of food, agriculture on the one hand, and technology on the other hand, both are on the front line, literally front and center for Israel. Clearly, Israeli research and innovation in food tech is simply critical at this time, like none ever before. This is where innovation hubs like the Start FoodTech Incubator come to the rescue. Fresh Start is located in Kiryat Shmone at the northern tip of Israel. It is home to cutting-edge technology startups battling these exact problems: food shortage and growing the next generation of food forms, climate change, food waste, and the creation of healthier foods and food delivery, to name just a few. OurCrowd is backing Fresh Start from its inception alongside Noga, Israel's largest food company, Tempo, Israel's leading beverage corporation, and our VC partners at Finisterre Ventures. The incubator and its companies are continuing to function, even though Kiryat Shmone has been evacuated due to the current situation. But seeking and securing funding is now mission critical. And this brings us to yet another critical ingredient in the hunt for solving our food tech funding challenges. The Israeli government understands the urgency of supporting startups in all sectors, as evidenced by the swift response and extraordinary initiatives from the Israel Innovation Authority, which stepped in to provide bridge financing and expedited funding plans for startups across all sectors, including food tech, ensuring the continuity of their operations. I'm excited to have here with us today the leadership of the Fresh Start team, Noga Sela-Shalev and Dr. Tammy Meiron, alongside Dror, the CEO of the Israel Innovation Authority, who will be presenting Israel's food tech forces during these days and some of the amazing companies and technologies being backed by Fresh Start. Towards the end of our guest discussion, I will come back on to tell you a little bit more about a tool that OurCrowd has developed in order to bring more capital to food tech. Our very own food tech fund, which has already reached its first close and started investing in several exciting companies. But before we dive into all that, I'd first like to welcome our keynote speaker, Jeremy Coller. He is the Chief Investment Officer and Managing Partner of Coller Capital, largest independent firm dedicated to private equity secondaries, which he founded in 1990. Widely regarded as the godfather of secondaries, Jeremy is credited with pioneering and growing the market, transforming secondaries into multi-billion-dollar industry it is today. In 2023, he was named the GOAT, greatest of all time of the secondary market by Secondary Link, the latest of many accolades from the media. Jeremy is among the world's leading investors in the alternative protein industry through his private venture capital firm, CPT Capital. He is also a noted philanthropist endowing the Coller School of Management at Tel Aviv University, where he serves as deputy chairman of the board of governors. A passionate advocate for animal welfare and reform of the global food system, in 2015, Jeremy founded Farm Animal Investment Risk and Return, FAIRR, the world's fastest growing ESG network, representing investors with more than 70 trillion of assets under management. Jeremy, we'd love to pass the mic over to you. And
thank you. Cali, thank you so much. It seems strange with hostages still in captivity and the IDF on the ground in Gaza. It can all feel very wrong talking about something trivial like business. But I'm so glad OurCrowd has organized this event, and that's for 3 reasons. We all have to eat. But on a serious note, it's people like you who have made Israel a place worth fighting for. Almost 15 years ago, Dan Senna and Saul Singer branded Israel the startup nation. That usually refers to the business and the number of businesses that are produced. But I think the phrase also describes something bigger, because the qualities that make up a startup are a success are the same qualities that's made Israel a success. In just 75 years, the country itself has been conjured out of almost nothing, thanks to the resilience and hard work and innovation. The nation and its economy are so intertwined. And that's why it's so important you keep at it, even when confronted with the kind of crisis you face today. The second reason is that the work we're talking about here is just so crucial. As Cali, as you were saying, the current global food system simply isn't sustainable. Tens of billions of animals, 80 billion actually, are reared and killed to feed 8 billion humans. Cali, as you said, vast consumptions of fresh water, the biggest driver of deforestation, the biggest user of antibiotics in the world. Intensive agriculture contributes more to climate change than the entire global transport system. Fixing all of that is an immense challenge. And food tech is the answer. You, my friends, are the answer. Innovators, investors, government, you all have a role to play. So I have 3 big asks for the people at this event today. First, to the investors, I say now is not the time to blink. Because regardless of what else is happening in the world, if you're serious about food tech, Israel is the place to be. Just look at already what's happening. You can buy redefined meats, plant-based 3D printed steaks in Germany, Holland, France, even at Marco Pierre White's steakhouse in London. Remilk is working with international partners to scale production of its cow-free dairy products. Only the US has attracted more investment in alternative proteins in recent years. And on a per capita basis, Israel's is 6 times larger. Israel's innovators and entrepreneurs are shaping the future of food and the future of our planet. And now, more than ever, they need your support. So stick with them. Ask number 2 is for the Israeli government and its agencies, people like Dror and the Israel Innovation Authority. And to them I say, keep doing what you're doing. It's the government's commitment and the enabling environment it's created that has allowed this sector to grow so quickly. Just look at the level of support for the Fresh Start Incubator, tens of millions of dollars to turbocharge promising startups. The contrast with the rest of the world is stark. Unfortunately, in the UK, we're not allowed to do cultivated dairy because of anachronistic regulations created to stop cross-contamination by GM crops. These regulations were put in place before we ever dreamed of genetically modifying in the lab rather than in the fields. In Italy, the government's trying to ban cultivated meat before it even hits the shelves. But in Israel, food tech's been declared a national research priority. Far from trying to ban cultivated meat, the Prime Minister himself is already eating it. The support so far has been fantastic, and while the demands on the state of Israel right now are just unimaginable, it's so important that it continues as the seed of the industry begins to really sprout. And finally, to the food tech innovators themselves, my ask is very simple. Don't give up. Yes, it's tough out there, but it's tough to be an entrepreneur. To be a founder is to deal with crisis after crisis after crisis. You can't start a business, you can't build a business without spending most of your time managing problems. Some of those will be within your company, problems with your people, your product, your partners. Others will be outside it. A deadly pandemic, a global financial crisis, a far distant or all too local war. I only created my company, Coller Capital, because of a crisis. I was going to do something else entirely, but then Saddam Hussein, remember him? Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, global liquidity freeze, and I had to find something else to do. It was unexpected. It nearly finished me off before I'd even started. But with hindsight, it was the making of myself and my business. Because startups and scale-ups that survive a crisis and a crisis and a crisis always come out stronger. You learn, you adapt, you grow. And I know that you'll continue to thrive because it takes a special kind of person to create the kind of business you've created. If you wanted an easier life, where the big calls and difficult decisions can be farmed out or escalated up, you'd have found a nice corporate job and banked your monthly paycheck. You'll probably be doing just fine. But that's not who you are, is it? You've chosen a different path. You've chosen to help change the world, to help shape the future, to help continue the story the people of Israel have written not just for the past 75 years, but for the past 3.5 millennia. And whatever happens in the weeks and months ahead, I know that with the support of the investors and government agencies here today, you'll do amazing things for our food industry, for your country, and for the world. Thank you very much. Looking forward to the rest of the conference.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. We really appreciate your words of wisdom. And right now, we'd like to turn over to Dror, and I'll introduce Dror with a few words. Dror is the CEO of the Israel Innovation Authority, an independent public entity that operates for the benefit of the Israeli innovation ecosystem and Israeli economy as a whole. The IIA's role is to nurture and develop Israeli innovation resources while creating and strengthening the infrastructure and framework needed to support the entire knowledge industry. Prior to his role at the IIA, Dror served as president and CEO of RAD Data Communications, a leading global telecom network solutions company with hundreds of employees at the company's headquarters in Tel Aviv, a manufacturing center in Jerusalem, and development center in Beersheba, plus dozens of corporate branches around the world. Dror also served in a series of positions for close to a decade at Converse Technology, including as a member of the management team and VP of Global Sales. Following Converse, Dror served as a venture partner at Carmel Ventures and a chairman with several of its portfolio companies. In addition, Dror served as a partner at Shaldor, a leading management consulting firm in Israel, where he led the development and implementation of business and marketing strategies for major organizations in the financial, consumer, retail, high-tech, banking, and other industries. Dror, thank you very much for being with us today. And the mic is...
Thank you, Cali. I'm happy to be here. I hope it would have been in other circumstances, but here we are. I would like to give you the perspective of the government, of the Israeli Innovation Authority, about the overall situation of the Israeli high tech, as well as obviously about Israeli food tech. Let me share with you a few slides. Hang on. For some reason, I'm not able to share the slides. Okay, now I have it. Can you see it now? Can you see the slides, Kali? Okay, I'll assume you can. So I picked this sentence to maybe portray what the message I want to deliver today. Israeli food tech delivers no matter what. I want to thank Jeremy for his inspiring words, and I can promise you that the Israeli Innovation Authority is determined to do whatever it takes to make sure that Israeli tech in general will continue to deliver and prosper after the war, and in particular also the food tech cluster. In general, I must say that we entered the war in terms of economy in a very good shape. Just to give you a few macroeconomics figures, well, Israel started out the war with very strong growth of its GDP in the last decade, with reserves of over $200 billion in the central bank, with almost full employment, with a ratio of debt to GDP of 60%, which is by far lower than most of the OECD countries. So in general, the economy is sound. We expect it to be able to deal with the crisis that was forced upon us. In that context, it's always, we always say that Israeli high tech is the engine of the Israeli economy. But I would like to share with you a few figures that actually show this very vividly. First of all, Israel invests something like 6% of its GDP in R&D. We are ranked number one in the world. This is already for a few decades. And this is more than twice the average of the OECD countries. Almost 12% of Israeli workforce works in the high-tech sector. This is again number one in the world. About 9,000 high-tech companies in the local ecosystem. And when we compare ourselves to other tech hubs in the world, it's only number three, okay, after San Francisco and the Valley, and after New York, 9,000 companies. This is not per capita, this is absolute numbers, number three in the world. So Israeli high tech has also a very strong impact on the global tech industry. 18% of GDP is generated from the high-tech sector. This is twice the percentage in the US GDP and 3 times the percentage in the EU GDP. Last but not least, almost 50% of Israeli export comes from the high-tech sector. And this is why I said at the beginning that the Israeli government fully understands the importance of the Israeli high-tech to our economy, our growth, etc. And we are determined to do whatever it takes to make sure we go through this crisis and come out of it stronger, like we did in many previous down cycles. I want to remind everyone that we've been through major macroeconomical down cycles globally. We've been through a global corona health situation. We've been through cycles of war here with Gaza and Lebanon. And from all these down cycles, with no exception, Israeli tech and Israeli economy just got out stronger. Jeremy talked a lot about resilience of the people, resilience of the entrepreneurs, and this is going to be the reason also why we will be able to cross the wartime and come out of it stronger. A few words about the Innovation Authority for those of you in the audience who are not familiar with us. As Cali said, we are a government agency, an independent corporate which is funded directly by the government. Our mission is to strengthen the competitiveness of the Israeli Innovation Hub. We invest directly in startups that have groundbreaking innovation, disruptive innovation, with high risk that the private sector cannot finance by itself. We also invest in emerging technologies, whether it's applied research, labs, national labs, talent, etc. All of that is something that we do in order to make sure that the ecosystem is ready also for the next waves of technology. And last but not least, we deal with regulation, taxation, human capital, any policy that can help removing growth barriers from the local high-tech sector. This is something that we do in collaboration with all government ministries and agencies to make sure we reach the maximum potential of the local tech activity. We invest, just to give you the order of magnitude, about $500 million every year from the government budget in startups, in emerging technologies, in incubators, in anything which enables innovation in the country, which makes us, I believe, probably the largest fund that invests in startups in the country. Talking about food tech, or double-clicking on food tech, which is a very significant cluster or sector within the high-tech ecosystem. Well, first of all, food tech is one of Israel's national priorities. This is important to say. From many aspects, and many government ministries and agencies have adopted this priority that food tech is something that we are going to invest in and cultivate in Israel. It relies on very strong fundamentals. We have 10 very significant world-class universities and research institutions that are researching and developing important knowledge with regards to food. Major investments, we alone, the Israel Innovation Authority, invested about $100 million in the recent years in food tech startups. We also invested in incubators. Fresh Start is an incubator we are very proud of, but you can see that we have also a few other incubators. All of them are dealing with venture creation and venture building of food tech startups. And this also brought us to be a major center for foreign investments in food tech. You can see that, as also Jeremy mentioned before, Israel is now number 2 in the world in terms of investments, private investments in alternative proteins, and per capita number 1. But above everything, I think that we are blessed with great entrepreneurs that when you tell them that something is impossible, you see the spark in their eyes, and you see them going after this impossible mission. And this is actually what created such an amazing ecosystem of hundreds of food tech companies. All of them are groundbreaking in technologies they are bringing to the world. Looking on the business side, but looking also on the mission of how do we feed humanity under climate change circumstances. This is, I think, what really makes them get out of bed every morning and go and conquer the world. So this is the fundamentals. Those are the fundamentals of the Israeli food tech. And obviously there is a question, how do we go about wartime? So this slogan or tagline of Israeli tech delivers no matter what. By the way, this is a picture of the sign lit over the Nasdaq in Times Square. This is a slogan which has a great depth. I can tell you that since the war broke, I spoke personally with, I don't know, hundreds of people. Entrepreneurs, CEOs, investors, local investors and foreign investors. All of them understand that keeping delivering, keeping all the R&D plans, keeping all the commitments to customers, this is their number 1 priority. and all of them are very creative in the way they do it. There are many challenges. I must be frank. Many people were called for duty, army duty. Other people are at home caring for their families. But all of the people that are operating the startups and the growth companies in Israel, they understand that keeping commitments is number one, and they are very creative at doing that. I can tell you that the entire ecosystem is coming together to support each other. I can tell you stories about manufacturing plants who are hosting little manufacturing plants from the frontline that had to evacuate their facilities. I can tell you stories about real estate companies that have opened their office space free of charge, so startups could be hosted there. I can tell you stories about people that are volunteering free of charge to fill the ranks of startup companies just to help them continue the development, continue the business activities, and so forth. So we are all coming together, and from my personal experience in previous crises and from what I see today in the local ecosystem, I'm sure that we will keep up delivering no matter what. Now, one of the things that obviously is a challenge to startups and companies is that the war caught them in the middle of a financing round. We estimate that today in Israel there are a few hundreds of early stage companies that were in the middle of a fundraising round. And because of the war, it's a slowdown. And we want to make sure that no good company will go under just because of this reason. And this is why we have announced very quickly, just I think 2 weeks after the war broke, that we are going to launch a bridging fund, a financing bridging fund that is going to invest going to invest $100 million in early stage startups in order to extend their runway. We call it fast track because we are going to give very quick answers. From submission to getting the answer, it's going to be 4 weeks. This fund requires matching of the private sector, so the overall investment is going to be $250 million. All of this money is going to be injected within 3 months into those few hundreds of early stage companies with great assets. So we are looking for what is the profile we are looking for? It's companies with short runway, less than 6 months. We want to make sure that we'll have enough money to cross the wartime and then go out and raise money, not under pressure. They must have disruptive technological and business assets. So it's not a company that was formed yesterday with an idea. It's already very deep into the development cycle or even the early sales phase. This fund is open to any tech startup in the country, but I do expect many very good food tech companies to also submit to this fund. And after getting from us the grant, they will be looking for matching, either from their existing investors and or from new investors. So get ready. There are going to be many great companies in the next 3 months looking for matching investment. And this is a great business opportunity for you to come in and invest and or support the Israeli, to support Israel in this challenging times.
Thanks very much, Dror. We're sort of running out of time here based on the signals I'm getting from the producers, but we want to thank you very much. And we're going to move on to introduce Noga and Tammy. Noga Sela-Shalev has marketing, business development in food and food tech industry. She's closely acquainted with the local and global food tech scene, supporting early stage startups from vision to scale. She's experienced in business evaluation of innovative technologies with high emphasis on applicable innovation, and has initiated and led industry and startup joint development and implementation projects. She's formerly the chief of staff and head of innovation unit for Tnuva, Israel's biggest food conglomerate, where she initiated and led corporate-level strategic projects in various fields, from operational excellence to corporate strategy. Noga holds an MBA degree from the Tel Aviv University. And Dr. Tammy Meiron has over 25 years of experience in R&D, production, technology transfer fields in the life sciences, pharmaceuticals, and food industries. In her last position, Tammy was tech lead for two Israeli food tech startups. First as CTO of Zero Egg, developing plant-based egg substitutes for egg applications, and second as director of food technology for Amai Proteins, developing sweet proteins as a non-GMO sugar substitute. Previously, Tammy was involved in numerous startups in the fields of R&D, IP, tech transfer, production, scale-up operations. Since 2013, Tammy teaches a new product development course at the Hebrew University. She holds a PhD from the Hebrew U in the field of food, science, and technology. Over to you, Noga and Tammy. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Cali, for the kind introduction. Thank you, Jeremy and Dror, for the inspiring words and for your support. Together with Tammy and our brilliant incubator team, we are Fresh Start's food tech experts. We're set in the growing agri-food tech valley in northern Israel, and we're creating and investing in early stage ventures from the thriving Israeli ecosystem. We're relying on our expertise in the food industry, food technology, biotechnology, and we specialize in commercializing Israeli deep tech academic research, which is known for its creativity and innovation. We're backed by the Israeli Innovation Authority, thank you, Dror, and four remarkable partners, OurCrowd, of course, Finisterre Ventures, and our supportive food and beverage local partners, Noga and Tempo. Together, we've invested so far in 11 portfolio companies that are addressing the most pressing needs of the food industry. Before properly presenting them to you, we are proud to share with you some of this year's highlights. Kelly.
In Israel's northern agri-food tech valley, Fresh Start's food tech experts and portfolio companies are addressing the most pressing issues of the global food industry. In the past year, our portfolio companies have progressed, showcasing innovation, growth, and resilience. Meet BlueTree, a sugar reduction platform for industrial applications in the beverage industry. They launched their pilot system in Israel with juice producer Pre-Neve and are securing their next funding. Eggmented Reality, identifying and fermenting ultra-functional clean label ingredients, had a 400% improvement in yields and are demonstrating an egg and methylcellulose replacer. C2Cell had a recent tech breakthrough, supporting scale-up and price parity of their cultivated fish product. Pigmentum raised $6.2 million, making great progress in producing casein and lettuce, and entered their brand new facility. Profuse Technology keeps revolutionizing what we know about cultivated meat and are also applying their technology in the life science industry. Bountica's protein-based biopreservatives recently engaged with leading multinational bakery Parados, leading their seed round. Sweet Balance achieved successful applications with their clean label sweetener in bakery, cereal, and several other categories. Alteco AI, which provides an energy efficiency and optimization engine, along with BlueTree, Pigmentum, and Profuse, have successfully completed their incubation journey. We are happy to introduce Fresh Start's latest additions to the family. Made Right is advancing sustainable packaging through the power of fungi. Medium Well is solving the issue of media recycling, offering cost reduction to the cultivated meat industry. And EcoCrystal offers healthier, sustainable, and cost-effective reflective pigments. We're supported by the Northern and Israeli food tech community and partners fueling Fresh Start's relentless spirit of innovation. Together, we're ensuring Israeli food tech keeps moving forward by commercializing remarkable technologies. Reach out and join our mission.
These days, we are all grieving for the unimaginable events our country has gone through and the uncertainty of war. We take comfort and pride in the Israeli entrepreneurial spirit, which is highly resilient and continuously pushing forward. Although we were evacuated from our state-of-the-art facility in the north, have no doubt we are here to stay and to continue to nurture and develop disruptive technologies for the benefit of the global food industry. This year, even more than ever, it is important for us to share the story of our portfolio companies and their significant progress. The three following companies are an excellent example of that. We are going to have a Q&A session with them right after their presentation, so feel free to write your questions in the chat. Let's start with Augmented Reality. John, you're up.
The crack of a chocolate bar, the light airiness of a baked cake, and the stretch of a grilled cheese. The food industry requires functional ingredients like saturated fats, eggs, and casein in order to connect us consumers to the food experiences that we love most. But these functional ingredients also have drawbacks related to nutrition, safety, and sustainability. But what if you could have that functionality that makes all of our food work and we love so much without those downsides? My name is John Rathhauser. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Eggmented Reality, which is doing exactly that. We go beyond the outdated 15 ingredients that provide 90% of our food today. We go beneath the surface to tap into Earth's natural and abundant biodiversity, finding alternative sources of the functionality that we require, but don't have the same drawbacks. How do we know which proteins are going to revolutionize our plates? We are the first company to combine material science with precision fermentation in order to better understand why our food behaves this way. With that understanding, we can find natural alternatives, and we've already cracked the egg. Our first product is an egg and methylcellulose alternative that is better for you, better for the environment, and better for industry. It's clean label, has no cholesterol, is more sustainable, and has an extended and customizable range of functionality for food manufacturers. You also don't need to use as much of it, enabling functional parity. Recent results have shown we can use 40 to 50% less of our protein to achieve the same gelation as egg white powder. This means we can use a more sustainable technology, precision fermentation, and still achieve a $35 per kilo price point, which is cost competitive with free-range eggs, representing 1/3 of the $110 billion market. In addition, we help corporates achieve their ESG and regulatory requirements, something that our partners are extremely excited about. We're working with snack food leader Mondelez and Israeli food giant Tnuva to address process challenges, enable ingredient substitution, and make their products more sustainable. This is just the beginning for us. In the future, we will use our technology platform to address other functional challenges across the food industry. In-house, we have the end-to-end capabilities to make this happen and the strategic partners that will speed our path to market. We're currently looking for investors to join our $2 million SAFE round that will enable us to scale production, collaborate with our long list of interested parties, and develop our second product. With your help, we can move food functionality forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. A great progress. Next, take a look at C2Cell solution for cultivated fish meat, introducing Dr. Orna Lev, CEO and co-founder.
Hi, I want to start by sharing an unsettling fact with you. By 2050, the demand for fish is expected to double. At the same time, our oceans are running out of fish. Already, fishing rates are almost 3 times higher than what our oceans can sustain, and the gap between demand and supply is increasing. There are additional issues that are involved with our current fishing practices. Pollution, for example. As we fish, we are contaminating our oceans with plastics, with dangerous chemicals, with toxins, and they all find their way into the fish that we eat. All these problems put our food security at risk. The use of advanced cell culturing technologies to grow fish cells in controlled environments in large tanks in order to produce fish products without even catching any fish is a compelling and simple, promising solution. It is called cultivated fish. Right now, cultivated fish is very expensive and faces scalability and costs issues. One of the keys to making cultivated fish profitable is by reducing the high cost of growth factors, ingredients that are added to the medium in which the cells grow. Hi, my name is Orna. I'm the co-founder and CEO of C2Cell. C2Cell is all about developing cutting-edge technologies to tackle the high cost and scalability issues, and they have the potential to reduce the costs by up to 80%. Simple, elegant, and self-sustainable, our solutions can reduce the need to add external growth factors to the growing cells, and thus making the production of cultivated fish a much simple and much cheaper and affordable process. Although the market for cultivated fish is still its very early stages of development, the existing gap between supply and demand, combined with the rising prices for certain fish species, is already making it commercially viable. We believe that with our technology, cultivated fish will become a reality. Our B2B model is focusing on producing and selling cultivated fish products, including hybrid pieces of sea bass, sea bream, and trout. We aim to offer sustainable, healthy, and tasty alternative to wild-caught or farm-raised fish. We already achieved significant milestones, established our proof of concept, and have a strong IP position. We are now raising our seed round to take the technology to the next level. We invite you to join us in our efforts to secure safe and sustainable fish sources so that future generations can and will enjoy food security. Thank you.
Thank you, Orna. So moving on, we're looking at BlueTree with their elegant solution for sugar reduction. So please welcome CEO Michael Gordon.
Hi, I'm Michael Gordon. Before I became BlueTree CEO, I became a father. And as a father, I'm highly concerned. There's an epidemic going on. 38 million children below the age of 5 suffer from obesity. 1 out of 4 by the age of 12 will suffer from tooth decay. And the number one reason for that is sugar. And when you break down the numbers and compare the difference between the actual intake and the global recommendation by any health agency, the difference is 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of sugar every day. It's not the birthday cake, it's the daily diet. Let's take, for example, a cup of orange juice. In 1 cup of orange juice, you'll find great things like antioxidants, lots of vitamin C. On the other hand, you'll find almost the same amount of sugar as in 1 cup of Coca-Cola. That is why BlueTree outstanding team developed a technology to remove this sugar without adding anything to the natural source. The notion behind our technology is the understanding that there are different types of natural occurring sugars, mainly monosaccharides and disaccharides. Monosaccharides are more responsible for taste and texture. That's why we want to keep them in. And we're removing the disaccharides that are less responsible for that. We developed a turnkey platform that can be easily integrated in every manufacturing line. Actually, it took us no more than 2 months to fully integrate our solution without interfering with the overall operations of the manufacturer. We have a validated business model. We signed 2 agreements, one with a leading Israeli juice manufacturer, Priniv, and the other with a global beverage manufacturer. We started out with juices as we already integrated our solution. And this is our CDO pouring himself a cup of orange juice straight from the manufacturing line. We've also achieved excellent results with the dairy category as we were able to remove 75% of the sugar in milk. And we're moving ahead and researching the beer and wine categories as manufacturers are looking for elegant ways to remove the amount of alcohol by removing the amount of sugar. The holy grail of the food and beverage industry is to remove sugar without impacting the taste. At BlueTree, we're already there. Let's talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I wish all of you could have a taste of their healthy and tasty orange juice. And now we will move to the Q&A session. We have John, Orna, and Michael with us. Now we do.
Hi, everyone. So we have a few questions in the chat that people wanted to ask you. So, John, maybe we'll start with you. What are the challenges that you expect to face with consumer adoption of your product? Will it be difficult to get consumers to replace eggs with egg alternatives? Question by Danny.
Yeah, thank you, Noga. Thank you, Danny, for the question. We are actually a B2B ingredients company. So we're focused on providing the enabling tools and building blocks that all of the other food manufacturers require within their products. So we don't need to build a brand as a consumer company would. But beyond that, we provide technical solutions to technical challenges. So oftentimes food manufacturers require specific gelling points in order to survive pasteurization. So we can provide a solution to that. And those are some of the reasons why a food manufacturer would be excited about the product we're offering.
Orna, what will be your first product to the market?
Our first product will be a fillet prepared from marine fish, so from cells from marine fish. And what we're doing now is really building the building blocks, or developing the building blocks that will allow us to provide the consumer with a product that is healthy and tasty, and have the high quality, so the consumers will like our products.
Ona, maybe you can continue where the presentation was unfortunately cut off, just to have a clear notion of what you're doing in the future.
Yes. So I would say that even before we started Say2Sell, we were very concerned about the issues that faces the cultivated meat production process in general, namely the cost and the scaling up. And we decided that we'll focus on these crucial bottlenecks. We'll be able to provide a real solution to that. And so we are developing technologies. We're focused specifically on developing technologies that do just that. So they are tackling these high costs. And what we know from, we have developed what we call growth factors technology, as I was trying to say in the film. We eliminate the requirement to add these expensive growth factors or ingredients to the meal, which dramatically drops down the costs. And with this technology, which is simple, it's a cost-effective technology and basically provides a solution where other companies still struggle. So we received feedback from investors and experts in the field that say that this is a real game changer in the field. It has the potential to reduce costs of the final.
Michael, how are you going to ensure reasonable market price for your product?
This is a very good question. And actually, when you break down the numbers, after a discussion we've had with global manufacturers, we see that the impact on the gross margin is less than 5%. So assuming we're delivering a new product to the market together with manufacturer, this is a great growth engine for juice and dairy manufacturers.
Right. And can you refer to taste maybe? I mean, how do you take out sugar but still keep a good taste for the product?
Okay. So BlueTree physical selective technology is designed to remove sugar molecules with affecting the taste of the product without affecting. This is because the technology targets specific sugar molecules that contribute to sweetness less than others, while leaving other flavors compounds intact. One of the ingredients we leave intact is a sugar molecule that is 1.2 to 1.8 times sweeter than the one we remove. In addition, the molecule that we leave has a metabolism that does not require insulin and has a low impact on blood sugar levels.
Thank you.
Ona, given the percentage of other cultivated seafood companies, could you highlight the distinctive advantage that set your company apart?
Yes, I think so. I tried to mention it earlier. We are using technologies to tackle this, first of all, this price parity. And also, we are developing technologies that will allow us to scale, meaning allow us to grow cells in suspension. So, Tammy, as a scientist, you're probably aware of the fact that cells don't like to grow in suspension. You have to teach them how to do it, and we teach them how to do it very successfully. Again, meaning that we are getting closer to being able to scale, which is a real issue in this field of cultivated wheat in general. So once you take these technologies, you can grow them in suspension in a relatively cheap media. Then you have a line of sight to to making things cheaper.
Great. John, can you maybe refer to the major difference that your system or your technology actually offers? Because there are many companies out there that are claiming to do probably similar things. How can you differentiate?
Right. So we have to first divide it into two parts, our product and then our technology. As an egg product, we have functionalities that plant-based alternatives just can't provide. But we also differentiate from other fermented egg companies because we're using a different protein than what the chicken's egg offers us. So we can achieve the desirable behaviors, but do it using less, and that means at a competitive price point. Technologically, our platform, we don't just swap the production process, giving you the egg without the chicken. We actually go deeper. We're searching for other sources of that functionality from nature that can perhaps do what the egg does even better. So that's how we think we're different. We're using material science tools, which no one else is doing in order to achieve that.
Michael, you're relatively at the beginning of your journey. How do you anticipate an increase in your revenues?
BlueTree Technologies anticipate an increase in revenue due to several factors. First, we see a growing demand for sugar-reduced products from consumers. In addition, the increasing regulatory pressure on food and beverage companies to reduce sugar content is rising. And of course, there is an expansion of BlueTree's platform to other categories such as milk, beer, and wine. So we're also pursuing strategic partnership with major food and beverage companies to expand our reach and market share.
Thank you. Warren, I think you also received another question here regarding the scale you're at the current moment and where you're planning to industrialize.
Okay. So basically, we've achieved the milestones that we set as a goal for the first 2 years of operation, and now the funding that we are raising is actually exactly for that to scale up. So we are looking at in this realm, we are looking to scale to a 1 liter bioreactor. And then once we achieve this milestone, which is a fundable milestone from what we know from investors, then we will move on to building a pilot facility with larger bioreactors.
Great. So they're cueing us that we're out of time for more questions. But if any of you have further questions for the team here, please reach out. We will have all their contact details in closing, and I'm sure they're happy to continue the discussion. So moving on, our next in line is Bountica. They're actually creating pretty novel and exciting preservatives And let's see from Fabian from FAIRR, their CEO and co-founder, for more details.
There's a saying, you are what you eat. Well, 75% of the food that you eat contains food preservatives. Food preservatives that are flammable, irritant, corrosive. Some are outright carcinogenic. Should we be eating that? Or should we simply get rid of all preservatives and live with the consequences? Is this the future of food? Would this be healthier? We at Bountica believe we can offer consumers a better choice. We embarked on a journey to develop preservatives, proteins that inhibit food spoilage. Our preservatives are naturally produced using precision fermentation and can be safely used to extend the shelf life of a wide range of perishable foods and beverages, filling in a much-needed gap in the market. Take hummus, for example. When freshly made, it is a staple of health and nutrition. However, it is notoriously prone to spoilage with a very short shelf life. And industrial versions simply do not live up to our expectations due to the use of chemical preservatives. Without preservatives, we were able to extend the shelf life of freshly made hummus for over 4 weeks without compromising taste or composition. Our preservatives are even heat stable and easy to use, an add-in replacement to existing preservatives. As we scale up our production capacity, we are targeting a wide range of food categories, from processed meat, fresh bakery, plant-based meat, and more. We've had a phenomenal year with multiple successful POCs, great market traction, and several customers waiting for our samples. We seek to fund our production scale-up, and we're raising $2.5 million. I'm very happy to share with you that we have already raised over half of that amount from a strategic corporate partner. If you share our vision, I would love to see you join our journey. I'm Fabian. This is my email. Let's talk.
Fabian, congratulations on your progress and your investment. Plastic is considered as a major issue in the food industry, producing over half of plastic packaging waste. Please welcome Rotem Kanovich, CEO and co-founder of Made Right, to share their solution.
We consume a credit card of plastic a week from the food, water, and air around us. That's absolutely crazy. Some of it is coming from the 140 million tons of plastic packaging we produce yearly. Only 9% is recycled. The rest is landfilled, burned, or leaked to the environment. Obviously, this is a disaster, and also an expensive one. Globally, we spend $1 trillion on packaging, and we're seeing a strong demand from the industry for alternative sustainable solutions. Europe is waking up and pushing the industry towards sustainable packaging solutions, yet we still don't see a viable one. That's because today there is a trade-off between the performance of fossil plastics that are cheap and give the needed shelf life and the sustainable bioplastics until made right. We harness fungi to create sustainable solutions. Our first product makes plastic great again. We're giving the industry exactly what it's lacking: performance and sustainability hand by hand, maximizing their potential of their packed goods. We do this by introducing a naturally fungi-derived additive that prolongs the shelf life, is renewable, cost-effective, and fits both current manufacturing and recycling schemes. So how do we do this magic? First, we take industrial organic waste and grow the fungi on it. From the fungi, we produce plastic-like materials like this that we fuse with the fossil and bioplastics to protect the package from the outside environment, prolonging the shelf life and creating durable and sustainable packaging. This is a fully circular economy model, and we can also harness the fungi as a platform to create additional high-value ingredients. So I know all of this kind of sounds like a fantasy, but it's not, because we have a team of experts to execute it, coming from the business and plastic realms, chemistry, and biology with the focus on fungi. with strong backing of Nuva and Tempo, our investors and potential future clients, we're now spearheading our prototype development due to hit the market late next year. We are open to strategic collaborations and future investments. And with this team, we're going to materialize the next fungi material revolution and take the credit card outside of our body and back into our wallets. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotem. The next two companies are the next generation of cultivated meat, enabling technologies. These are the solutions that are progressing the space and closing the scaling and pricing gaps to the market. Please meet Dr. Tamar Eigler-Hirsch, CTO and co-founder of Profuse Technology.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tamar Eigler, and I am a co-founder and the CTO at Profuse Technology. Many people may not realize, but the demand for meat products is expected to double over the next 30 years. And the current way that we produce our meat is simply not sustainable and not scalable. And it will fail to reach this high demand. The industry is searching for inventive ways to create muscle without the use of animals. And this is cultivated meat. Cultivated meat is essentially growing muscle tissue in a factory without animals, just using cell cultures. The current way that we are growing cultivated meat in the industry has extremely low efficiency. It's very, very time consuming and very costly. Now, in order to make authentic meat products that are similar to a chicken breast or a steak or a fish fillet, we need to find novel technologies that will allow for the scalable, the economical, and the nutritious production of real meat. This is exactly what we have done at Profuse Technology. At Profuse Technology, we are cultivated muscle experts. We have developed a set of solutions to enable the production of real muscle tissue. This includes unique, non-GMO muscle cell lines, as well as media supplements that help drive the robust production of muscle tissue in culture. This is exactly what you see here. Here we see muscle stem cells in culture after being treated with our Profuse supplements increases the conversion of stem cell to muscle tissue by 6-fold compared to the industry benchmark. In addition, our customers, the cultivated meat producers, can expect a reduction in their production time by 40%, as well as a reduction of overhead costs, which will result in a significant increase in net profits. Since our inception in 2021, we have closed a seed round with a total funding of $4.25 million. And we are now working with over 15 cultivated meat and enabling technology companies worldwide. And this has led Professor Mark Post, the godfather of cultivated meat, to proclaim Profuse as a breakthrough technology. In addition to our applications in the cultivated meat space, we also have application in the pharma space. And we can provide solutions for those wishing to create animal-free disease models, as well as for drug development. We plan to close a seed round of $10 million in Q2 of 2024. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact me at this email address, or you can scan the QR code and it will take you to our website. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tamar. Profuse results are truly incredible, and it is indicated, obviously, in the numerous collaborations and engagements you've reached. So, and also your life science applications. These are a huge promise as well. Next, meet Sela-Shalev. She's CEO and co-founder of Medium Well, and they're addressing the cultivated meat industry from a different perspective, medium recycling. Shelly, please.
Don't we all wish we could have a real steak, but without harming any animals or the environment? So where are all those cultivated meat and plant-based steaks they promised us? Why are they still so far away from our plates? For two reasons. It's way too expensive, and it's very hard to produce in large scale. There is one single component responsible for most of these problems. It's called the medium. The medium, in the case of cultivated meat, is the liquid used to feed and grow the cells. It costs more than $300 per liter, and today it must be replaced very frequently. Going to large-scale capacities of production, this will become a huge environmental hazard of toxic waste. So, in order to have cheap and sustainable cultivated meat, we must reduce the amount of medium goes to waste. And this is exactly what we do in Medium Well. We are recycling the medium. With our proprietary biofilter, we're aiming to reduce the cost by 50%. and we are going to change the industry. With our lab-scale prototype, we are already demonstrating our capabilities to remove target molecules out of the liquid, while all the other nutrients remain stable. We are already validating these results with leading cultivated meat producers. In fact, our biofilter is going to be applicable not only for cultivated meat, but also for additional production processes, as well as even improve existing products by removing unwanted compounds. Our team is strong and resilient, working very hard even during these difficult days. We bring together more than 50 years of experience in microbiology and filtration, coming from the Hebrew University and from the industry. If you want to help us bring this game-changing solution to the market, join us at Medium Well.
Thank you, Shelly. It's a truly well-needed solution. Next, I'm happy to introduce you to Pigmentum. They figured out how to bring functional food ingredients in a plant-producing platform. I welcome Tal Lutzky, co-founder and CEO.
The incredible experience of stretchy cheese. This unique multi-billion dollars worth challenge the food tech industry is attempting to achieve for some time now. But as we all know, the complex casein protein responsible for it is a killer. Besides the challenging functionality, we also need to meet the right scales and costs to bring a viable solution for sustainable dairy production. So far, in spite of best efforts, it seems that novel technologies like precision fermentation and cell culture are still far from realizing the promised solution. Which brings us to plants, and more specifically, to Pigmentum. Plants are massively scalable, have low operational costs, and need much lower capital expenses for scaling up. The similarity between plant and animal cells allows us to make sure that our proteins keep their unique properties. How do we know? Because Pigmentum actually made it happen. I'm Tal Lutzky, and I'm excited to share with you that Pigmentum is now able to turn plants into highly efficient, sustainable, and scalable production system, starting with casein in lettuce. How do we do it? Our plants grow and look normal until we trigger them to convert into a factory, hyper-expressing a desired ingredient, then extracted and dried while keeping their properties. This creates high yields and growing efficiency like never shown before, of almost endless possibilities of ingredients. We're using lettuce because it can grow indoor and outdoor, almost anywhere in the world, year-round, and has a very short life cycle from seed to product. We use its full biomass and getting high content of targeted product in a simple process to meet market prices. In the past year, we've proved casein desired functionality in lab scale, and based on our current yields, we're aiming to be in price parity by 2025, using molecular and traditional breeding procedures. Since the beginning of the year, after closing our $6.2 million seed round, we've established our site in northern Israel, including state-of-the-art molecular and tissue culture lab, pilot facility, and greenhouse, and expanded our A team. We're cooperating with our partners and other global producers to assimilate our products in food applications. We're now approaching our A round on our way to bringing this vision to the market. I welcome you to join us and our top-tier strategic and financial investors for this incredible ride. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tal. You've made incredible progress in such a short period of time. I'm getting these questions towards FreshStart. So just as a reminder, we're going to have a short Q&A after this last but not least presentation for EcoCrystal, our last incubator entry. So please write your questions down the chat and make sure you're using the buttons below. So to you, EcoCrystal.
We all love products that look pretty and shiny. Most often, that's done using titanium dioxide. It mirrors light, it coats, it's cheap, it has a huge market share with tons of applications from candies to cars. But not everything is so great. Titanium dioxide leads to cancer and has a terrible impact on the environment. In fact, it was banned for use in foods in the EU and is facing similar inspection in America and elsewhere. What consumers are saying is, we want a safer shine. EcoCrystal will provide a healthy, safe, and effective white reflective pigment without all that massive pollution. In 2016, at the Weizmann Institute, Dr. Dror unlocked the structure of guanine. The spiderwebs or fish scales are shiny because of guanine. A chameleon changes colors because of guanine. Using EcoCrystal's IP technology, we biomimic natural guanine in its crystalline, shiny form using a simple reaction process. Improved functionalities, such as heat stability or a higher refractive index, means value for money for our customers. A scalable, adaptable process means that we are a low-asset operation as per investors. Replacing titanium dioxide is already a $2 billion opportunity to grow to $5 billion by year 2030. Our team of experts, coming from the Technion, Teva Pharmaceutical, and the Weizmann Institute of Science, would like to invite you, investors and strategic partners, to join us for the bright road ahead.
Thank you. Indeed, a shining future. Now we will move for the final Q&A.
Sure. So, Tammy, let's look at the questions by the feed, and let's pick. So I remember a question previously asking in general how to invest altogether in Fresh Start. So the quick answer is that OurCrowd has their food tech fund here, and we are a direct feeder to that. So that's a good opportunity. And otherwise, you can always approach us and review direct investments within the portfolio companies you've just seen.
I saw several questions regarding the availability of our portfolio company's product on the market. So I think we should state or clear that those are groundbreaking technologies, and we are an early stage investment body, so it will take time. Depends on the company until you will be able to see those products on the market.
And just to add, depending on regulation, some of them may be much faster. If you're looking at BlueTree, for example, we're expecting products to be on the market pretty soon, hopefully next year, which is just around the corner, just to mention. Other companies have to go through a more extensive regulatory process, such as seed to sell. But we're going to get there for sure. Maybe another question. We have direct questions actually for some of our portfolio companies to answer how much is the initial funding. So we're approximately investing anywhere between $1 to $1.5 million in the initial investment, depending on the company type, if it's biotechnology or kind of regular, so to speak, food tech, and for the period of time within the incubation phase. So this could be anywhere in between those, and we're always looking for additional investments to couple that in order to progress faster and reach the milestones faster. So that's the answer to that.
I see another question. How do Fresh Start's partners help you help your portfolio companies? So we are in in the middle of an event that was initiated by one of our investors, by OurCrowd, of course. But generally talking, it begins during the due diligence process. They help us to understand the practical industry need. I aim to Tempo and Nuva, and to perfect the technological and the fundable milestones of the companies that we are building. Later on, they assist the companies with connections to relevant collaborations and investors. I would also mention this event again. Our portfolio companies also have access to their professional teams in case they need an advice. And in more advanced cases, they are also working closely together to enhance the company's process by providing their teams and deep know-hows, technical in-kinds, and so on and so forth. Noga, you want to add
And
something?
yeah, in general, I'd say they combine in between them decades of know-how around the food industry on one hand, and around financing and venture investments on the other. So altogether, this is basically what an early stage startup could most benefit of. So doing that with in-kind support on one hand, direct investment and follow-on investments after the incubation period. So it's a pretty significant support that our companies are receiving, and maybe this is a good opportunity to thank them for it. Tammy, there's a question here for Maidrite using what is the limitation to how much they can produce right now?
So they are their initial phase, I think they're 1 year old company, around 1 year old company, and they have accomplished so much. So they are now working extensively with their experts. They are a team, definitely. They accomplished a lot, but they are still in a lab scale quantities, but they are utilizing various of waste, not necessarily from the food industry, and their technology is so deep. So I think within 2-3 years from today, we will be able to send samples for the industry and move on with them.
But I think best is to direct these questions maybe to the CEOs, which is also
We will.
something that we'll do, which is pass it on and make the connection, which is always best.
Noga, another question if we have time.
Yeah.
Do we?
I don't know.
Kelly, do we have
Haley?
time for additional question?
I think one last question we can do. Yes.
Okay. So Noga, Israeli companies are repeatedly achieving more with less resources. What is the secret?
I think creativity should probably be the answer. And I think experience also does the difference. We are very, very well experienced with early stage innovation, which is usually either bootstrapped or very relatively low invested in. And so operating within these areas for a long time. And you should know, I mean, your expertise in technology help companies do the research with much less funding than probably anyone else. So that may be one thing around it. So just playing it clever, I think, and understanding where the basic or the most significant progress lies in order to bring the company much faster to the right milestones. Maybe that's the answer.
Great. Thank you very much. I want to thank Noga and Tammy for doing an excellent job in shepherding this incredible incubator. And OurCrowd is very proud to be your supporters, especially at this time. And we look forward to doing great things together.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to spend a few minutes talking about the OurCrowd FoodTech Fund. This is a fund product that we put together last year. And this is a fund that's still raising. And we're very excited about the prospects of all the food tech companies that we are going to be able to get into, and that investors exposed to the food tech fund will have access to. Disclaimer, document is obviously for informational purposes only, yada, yada, yada. And I'm continuing on. Fund summary. OurCrowd's food tech fund is going to be investing in about 15 to 20 food tech companies. The goal is to reach $30 million. This is a fund that's already reached its first close and is already invested in 3 companies so far. By the way, one of the companies is one of the incubator companies, BlueTree, which is being featured on this as part of this webinar. So in general, just before sort of diving into food tech, just OurCrowd at a glance. OurCrowd was put together about 10 years ago. It's got $2.2 billion of committed funds under management. And other than a lot of the statistics that have to do with startups, I just want to focus on the fund side of things. OurCrowd has launched so far 50 funds, some of them internal, some of them external, but altogether approximately 50 funds have been launched and have funded or are currently funding on the OurCrowd platform. So, food tech. Food production contributes about 37% of global greenhouse emissions. That's according to a study by the University of Illinois. And obviously, if we're talking about ways to bring down those gas emissions, a lot of it has to do about how we grow food and the processes that we go about producing and all the food that population consumes. So the idea is to try and transition away from the high emissions that are a byproduct of a lot of the animal protein. And this is why a lot of the companies in the food tech space are really trying to figure out alternatives to animal protein, right? What we call the alt protein space. Obviously, everybody's heard about things like, meat that comes from Petri dishes, cultured meat, or plant-based meat, and same goes for fish. So there's a lot of foods that currently are sort of being disrupted so that we bring down global greenhouse gas emissions. When we look at the map of food tech market, we're basically looking at the alt proteins, right? So like plant-based or fermented and cultivated. And then we're also looking at the areas of how do we bring down food waste, or how do we make more efficient, our kitchen tech and robotics. There's also the way we do farming, right? There's a lot of discussion today about vertical farming and future food forms. And on the side of that, there's also companies that are trying to tackle creating meal kits, making healthier foods, and delivering food via all sorts of robotic processes. That is basically the map that creates everything that this food tech fund is going to be investing in. So if you look at food tech as a sort of venture capital sector, globally, there's 220 billion invested since 2013. Okay, that's when OurCrowd's inception 10 years ago, when we just started. That's all the capital that's been pumped into this discrete sector. There have been 87 exits in 2022 in this area, despite market downturn. And since 2018, so if we go back a little 5 years, we're talking about 338 exits. Now, in 2022, the numbers have started coming down a little bit, and also in 2023. So 2022, there's 30 billion invested. And the combined enterprise value of all the food tech companies with 40x growth in the last decade is approximately 1.4 trillion. So why are we looking at this specifically, from the Israeli lens? Israel is really a global leader in food tech. It's the first in the world to establish a multidisciplinary research center for sustainable protein. It's number 2 in the world in global alternative protein investments, and that's since 2020. It's also number 2 in fermentation, plant-based, and cultivated investments, when we talked about, the different types of alternative meats and fish out there, and 24% of global investment in cultivated proteins since 2020. So Israel takes a really big bite, for lack of a better term, out of the overall food tech, global food tech plate. When we're talking about other components of the Israel being a front runner, if you look at global investment in alternative proteins in 2022, you can basically see that Israel is pretty much, high up there, way before countries like France, Singapore, the UK, China, Australia, second only to the United States. In terms of OurCrowd itself is really the most active investor in food tech in Israel. And if you look at, this is data that goes back to September of 2021.
OurCrowd had 25 investments. In other words, overall, 25 rounds of investment into food tech companies. And if looking at it globally, OurCrowd was number 8, with big players like Y Combinator and Goodwater Capital, Big Idea Ventures ahead of us. But that is a very, very advanced place to be for an Israeli VC. In terms of some companies to mention that OurCrowd has invested in this sector, we can talk about Remilk, which was a Series A company. This is a company that's now at a 7x MOIC. That's a multiple on invested capital. And the company that I think most people have heard about for years now, Beyond Meat, which really created history with its biggest IPO since the 2008 crisis. This is definitely a company that we wanted to be in. We were able to access it. We were able to get our investors exposure to this amazing company, and also had a great IPO, and were able to make money for the investors that were in our vehicle that invested. So if I look at OurCrowd's food tech companies, these are companies that are basically alternative proteins. That's, I think, the biggest area. And we talked about food waste, meal kits, getting healthier foods, companies like Dumatok or BlueTree, delivery of food like Flytrex, vertical farming, a company called Plenty, and also we mentioned kitchen enablement software, a company like Salted. So these are companies that sort of give you a flavor, give you a taste of what OurCrowd's food tech targets look like. Today, the food tech fund has invested, as I said, in only 3 companies. So when you think about what this fund is going to be getting into, right, we're targeting 20 to 25 companies. These are the types of companies that you can envision accessing. In terms of alternative protein companies, we talked about the plant-based, the cultivated, the fermented. This is a pretty nice matrix showing where the companies that OurCrowd has invested in are located in terms of these different areas. So we're placing our bets in all of these fields, and we expect if plant-based becomes the front runner, we've got chips in there, or fermented, or maybe it's cultivated meat. We've got chips on all of these. Just in terms of what the fund is expecting to look like from a summary of terms perspective. So this fund is going to be investing in food tech companies. It's striving to reach $30 million. It's going to target 15 to 20 or maybe up to 25 companies. The initial closing already occurred, so we've had 3 investments happen so far. The investment period is expected to be about 4 years. Right now we're in the first year, with a term of the fund lasting 10 years. And in terms of carried interest and how fees work, so if investors want to understand exactly the management fee per year, it's 2% per year for the 10 years, with an organizational expenses cap of 1%, which is taken up front. And then as the fund starts making hopefully exits in the future, the carried interest that OurCrowd collects is 20% for call it a MOIC of 1 to 3x. When above 3x, OurCrowd keeps 25%. So either it's 80% for investors and 20% to the GP, up to 3x, and then above 3x, 75% to the limited partners and 25% for OurCrowd. Those were my comments on the food tech fund. We really look forward to having people engage with this product. We look forward to answering any questions you might have. You can get in touch with your IR reps, or feel free to access the deal page itself on www.ourcrowd.com. And if you're not a registered member of OurCrowd yet, this is the time to become a member, and then hopefully you can access these and other exciting products. Have a great day.